The ANC is this morning expected to outline its resolutions from conference and clarify if it has abandoned plans to nationalise the Reserve Bank. The party's elective conference wrapped up virtually this week, and its leaders are currently in Mangaung, showing up short for its January 8 statement. The conference outcomes have produced a few surprises. One of them is that Andile Lungisa's suspension has been lifted, and he is now confirmed to be an NEC member. Let's get you the very latest details from Newzroom Afrika's Govan Whittles, who is in Bloemfontein. So what happened with Andile Lungisa? Good morning, Govan.
Good morning. Quite an interesting turn of events here. Andile Lungisa was always one of the most popular candidates that was nominated for the NEC ahead of the conference at the end of last year. His case was raised from the floor by the delegates. There was overwhelming support for him to be elected to the NEC, in the words of Fikile Mbalula, the Secretary General, and eventually they did elect him. Remember, Andile Lungisa was suspended when the conference started. His membership had been suspended over that conviction for assault in the Nelson Mandela Bay Council. Nonetheless, he was elected to the party's National Executive Committee. And even as conference wrapped up and was postponed to the second leg, which took place virtually, his case was still being decided on by the steering committee. That would have been the top 7 in the NEC. And here at the conference in Mangaung at the National Hub, they finally made a decision. But it's not a complete decision. They've decided that Andile Lungisa remains a member of the NEC, that he was legitimately elected. We're trying to look at whether or not he's one of the only people in the ANC's history to go from suspended to the National Executive Committee. We hope to speak to him. We understand he is here at Mangaung. Yesterday he took part in that NEC meeting that was held just on the outskirts of Bloemfontein, and he will be part of the celebrations and the January 8th statement. He's expected to be on stage when the President delivers that statement, and we'll get some more info from him on how he expects his case to pan out. Technically he's a member of the NEC, but the Secretary General is saying that his case will still be decided by the NEC. Now, that's a bit of a contradiction, because if he's been legitimately elected, what more is there to decide, and what could they possibly do about his membership? That will not happen at this NEC, which just sat yesterday. This NEC was only meant to prepare for the January 8th statement, look at the state of readiness of the stadium, go through the statement itself, which was drafted last year, according to the President, and through the year. And yesterday, finishing touches were put to it. Of course, now they have resolutions of conference, and they're able to insert those in the statement. But the party's broader policy positions had always been in place, and that's what they're focusing on right now. But Andile Lungisa's case and his status within the governing party is certainly very interesting. The fact that he's also been elected to the National Working Committee, those are the top 25 members of the NEC, shows you how popular he is in the party, and the fact that the delegates, the branches, believe that he has a significant role to play within the party.
A very interesting turn of events. Of course, the party also, according to the Secretary General, could not amend its constitution. Talk us through some other significant resolutions.
They couldn't amend the constitution, but they did have two-thirds majority support to create the position of a second Deputy Secretary General. The failure to amend the constitution relates to the failure to reach a threshold to vote on whether each member of the ANC should be given the right to vote for the President directly. That would have been a very, very interesting turn of events, and would have changed the way that the ANC elects its leaders. But there are some other interesting developments when you look at the resolutions of the conference. Let's start with the Reserve Bank. The fact that the ANC is looking to extend or expand the mandate of the Reserve Bank to include employment appears to be a walking back of its initial resolution to nationalise the Reserve Bank in its entirety. Importantly, ANC leaders have said that they're aware that to change the mandate of the Reserve Bank would require changing the constitution. They have 53% or 58% of the support in the National Assembly. They don't have enough to change the constitution. They'd have to reach out to other parties. The resolution taken here is about telling the NEC to mandate the government to seek that support, to effect that change to the Reserve Bank. Importantly, Bloomberg noting that the rand contracted about 1.6% at the news, and that it believes the rand reacted negatively because any changes that are being proposed to the Reserve Bank would be seen as negative changes because it would impact on the bank's ability to continue inflation targeting. That report coming from Bloomberg Afrika. This is a resolution that's already grabbed international headlines. One resolution that's going to certainly keep or dominate the domestic headlines is the clear decision by delegates telling the government to give control of Eskom to National Chairperson Gwede Mantashe in his position as Minister of Mineral Resources and Energy. This is something that's been speculated about in the public for a long time. The public seems divided on whether that's good or bad. The minister certainly has a lot of strong opinions about the way in which Eskom is performing. The question it raises due to is who's going to appoint the CEO of Eskom. Remember that is expected to happen before the budget speech. That's certainly the expectation raised by the Finance Minister, Enoch Godongwana. Right now, Minister Pravin Gordhan is in charge of public enterprises, and he's overseeing the process of getting a new CEO. We don't know when that resolution will be given effect to, and if he chooses the CEO, it's not clear whether that person would have the support of Gwede Mantashe in the Mineral Resources and Energy Department. Those are just two of the interesting resolutions. We'll get through the rest of them as the day progresses. They're having a list of a myriad of briefings later at 11 a.m. Where they'll expand on some of the details of these other resolutions. Also important to note, the President was due to engage with the agricultural sector, with farming groups just outside Bloemfontein. We've received notice that looks like that is not going to go ahead. There's been some change of plans from the presidency. Unclear why at this stage, but they seem to be giving their full attention on expanding on the resolutions of conference through those briefings that will be taking place at the Free State's ANC headquarters in the Bloemfontein city centre.
We'll look forward to that briefing at 11 a.m. Govan, Whittles, thank you very much for that update.